Corkscrew, the champion that bears a burden on its fists, but not really on your health bar. I'll be straightforward right off the bat. Corkscrew can, at least for me, get very frustrating to use at times. It's by no means a poor style, but executing its strengths can be a lot harder than it looks at first glance. Corkscrew is what I'd consider our first example of a boxer puncher, a method of movement that involves being able to play both up close and from farther away. While Corkscrew doesn't necessarily have a lot of range, its swings are quick and are great at knocking a block down to critical levels. This style is decently good at applying pressure when it needs to, even though this isn't its main gimmick. Corkscrew's heavy, the Corkscrew punch, is a one-sided attack with great damage, but a large and hefty windup, similar to the smash style. While not having any particular specialty of its own besides just being strong, this swing combined with Cork's chip damage can give you an edge in a very short time span. Corkscrew's main ability is a passive, that is, an ability that's constantly working in the background and that you don't need to manually trigger yourself. This passive is that Corkscrew actually heals non-true damage at a faster rate than any other style in the game. While seemingly not that useful at first glance, this passive can make you considerably more tanky than it would seem. You can really prolong your normal lifespan if you can get successful opportunities to heal back everything an opponent just tried to do to you. On top of this, your block recharges at a faster rate than normal. Though the block itself is on the weaker side, ranging about the same level as Hands Low, which is notorious for its nifty block, the block regeneration rate means that you can absorb more hits than normal if you repeatedly fail to get a combo going. Since every M1 doesn't deal true damage, having to drop your block isn't necessarily that bad for you either. Because of these strengths, Corkscrew does extremely well against counter styles, like counter, Hands Low, or bullet. This is because counter damage is mostly a bonus to how much healable damage you leave behind, which can lead to much bigger strings of damage later on. While of course dealing some bonus true damage, counters are of little consequence to Corkscrew seeing as to how they can heal it back. But Dave, you're asking, what if I'm not against a counter style? What do I do then? Well, a lot of that is up to you. Corkscrew is pretty versatile, as its damage and dashes are both at good levels. Keeping some distance is a plausible strategy, but it likely won't work forever as your opponent starts to memorize your patterns and makes mincemeat out of you. The main thing while playing Corkscrew is you always want to make sure you have the opportunity you need to let your passives work for you. Back off or push in so you can heal anything that gets dealt. Try to avoid getting perfect dodged, especially while on Corkscrew, because they get a free heavy out of it that just ruins your whole gimmick. If you don't have any damage you can heal because you're constantly being heavied, you're going to have a rough time. Cork thrives on being deceptively bulky and will wear enemies down simply by them being confused as to how you're still even alive. While slow and choreographed, your heavy swing still has its own uses. It actually has surprisingly good range, which can make it easy to try and tap someone moving in or backing up for a good splotch of damage. Don't overestimate this though, because your heavy is easily your biggest drawback. Though a Corkscrew is good at absorbing damage, it can also have a rough time dealing it in return. Your block damage is good, but your base damage isn't really that fantastic. You're going to have to work on being up close and getting the perfect dodges you need to land your Corkscrew punch without fail. On the dodging aspect, keeping your movement sharp is another good idea. Considering how important your gimmick is, you'll need to be evading swings with relative ease to make sure your opponent's punches go to waste as much as possible. Though it is a boxer puncher, you'll have to decide more often than not as to whether you're hugging an opponent close and weaving in circles or not. While I did touch on the idea of some mild spacing, Corkscrew's light swings alternate, meaning that every time you punch, the next swing will come from the opposite hand no matter what. Smarter players are going to know this, and despite your speed, you'll get dodged on a consistent basis. So, what does that mean? It means you'll have to commit to fully outboxing or fully infighting, likely after the first stock once you've gotten a feel for how your opponent functions. I say this because even while dealing damage to your opponent, your passives will both still work and will allow you to recover. Therefore, keeping pressure can be just as much of a benefit for you as playing more passive might. If anything, infighting probably works better, but that just might be my personal bias. I'm a huge infighter. One more thing to keep in mind is that Corkscrew is very prone to potentially taking devastating levels of damage in short time spans. I have, on occasion, got frustrated with Corkscrew as I just feel that I can never land a hit on someone of my skill level with it. Once your block is down, which can be rather quick against certain styles, one whiffed punch after your block falls can be all it takes for you to lose a giant chunk of your health. After everything, staying level and smart with Corkscrew is very important. It's not a style like Charge or Smash where you can just bull rush in. Your passives are strong, but that does not mean you're invincible. To close this off, Corkscrew is a well-rounded champion with solid swings and amazing recovery potential. While you can be a bit prone to falling apart under too much pressure, keep your wits about you and knowing what you're going to do next plays a massive role in your success here. Once you think you've locked in what your opponent's playstyle is, cater to that and use it in your favor to keep your health constantly going up. Keep your perfect dodges close and steady to secure the damage you otherwise wouldn't, and use that giant Corkscrew punch as a slightly rangier mix-up tool if the situation calls for it. If you can settle on a pace and keep that pace in your gloved hands, nobody's going to be able to take a point off of you. With this stellar guide, now complete by me, Dave Pyramid, I'm sure you'll be quite the heart stopper when you next get in the ring. Corkscrew can actually be pretty damn fun to use, so I hope this did something for you. Just a little side note here, I wanted to actually thank everybody for watching my charge video. It blew up insanely compared to my other videos, and I was really happy to see it. I want to say I appreciate you guys, and I'll do my best to keep these coming on a somewhat weekly basis, I think is the plan. I still intend to go from the rares to mythics to legendaries in that order, so be sure to stay tuned for when your main style comes up. Just wanted to say that. I'll let you go now. I'll catch you on the flip side, and I hope you learned something. Peace!
Let me break it down for you, Mark.